We'd like to welcome everyone to the Corry Regional Leadership Information Session today. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Brody Howard. I'm the Executive Director of the Corry Higher Education Council. Additionally, I'm also the Program Coordinator for Corry Regional Leadership. This program has been offered several years. This will be the 9th cohort that we'll be putting together. So we're very excited to share more information about that with those that are interested and maybe those that are already enrolled in the program to find out a little bit more about what is upcoming, set to begin here at the end of fall. I'd also like to introduce our co-presenter and lead instructor for Corry Regional Leadership, and that's Barry Wolfe. He's the president of Argos HR Solutions LLC. He's out of Sarver, PA. He will be taking the lead here later on in the presentation to talk about management, leadership, and supervision component of the program, which we're very excited to add to this go around, which would be, as I said before, the 9th cohort here for Corry Regional Leadership. So today, I'd just like to take the opportunity to give a quick program overview. All the information that you're going to be seeing here today is available in some shape or form on our website at corryhied.org/CRL. And what I have on the screen right now is our brochure pamphlet that goes a little bit into some detail of just really the overview of the program, our mission and vision for the program itself, and a little bit more information of what you can expect as a participant in this program. So right off the top here, I don't want to read it back to you. Of course, you may have already seen this or can read it later on. But the mission and the vision of Corry Regional Leadership started back in the early 2000s, around 2002, which a first cohort was developed, and it was patterned after some local regional leadership programs, but it was the first of its kind for the local area here in Corry. It's more tailored to our community, specifically for mainly for civic engagement. One of the things that you will likely see over time is just some of the asset discovery that has been ingrained in this program. So individuals that either live or work or both here in the community can find out a little bit more about those leaders that are already involved and engaged within the community, but establishing in a network so that they can connect with those individuals to also not only grow their network, but to also actively participate in their workplace or also their home communities. So this is one of the things that we are really very fortunate to have. It has been received very well over the years, and we continue to attempt to evolve the program to meet the needs of the community. And with that, you know, the mission of the Corry Regional Leadership is really to develop future leaders and fostering the relationships that they will be building along the way and taking those skills. And one of the main things that we're focusing on within this program is to create organizational value and deliver results. And that's not only, as I said, in the workplace, but within the community to help your organizations grow, as well as the community, and being very productive and moving forward in a positive manner. So we provide those opportunities here for opportunity growth, and hope to expose individuals to skills for ongoing leadership development in their own right. We'll talk about the various components of the program here moving forward, one of which that we've really focused on this year, which is the management and supervision element of that. And we're really hoping to fully engage the community in their workplace and help out aspiring leaders that are willing to step up within the community. And we know that that is something that can be very valuable too as you climb your respective career ladders. So Barry will be focusing in on that and some of the various curriculum topics here in just a moment. Additionally, one of the main hallmarks of the main primary focuses of the since the inception of the program has been a civic leadership component. And one thing that we're very, very fortunate to have this time around is really a roadmap moving forward that has just been created and led by Impact Corry with the development of the Corry Community Strategic Plan. And we are going to, typically in the past, what has been a requirement of the program is that individuals will team together on impact projects. And this time around, usually what we'll do is that we focus as a group on the needs specifically of the Corry or surrounding areas, and focus on creating something that will have transformational value, that will be a project that will have longevity, but also be an attribute or something that will help improve the community in the surrounding areas. This time around, we actually have something that we can, out of the gate, focus on a little bit more intentionally, in the sense that there are 5 focus areas of this plan. And if you have not already, I would encourage you to go to impactcorry.org to look at the executive summary of the plan, so that you can get a better sense of some of the focus areas of this community strategic plan that we will be looking at. We'll be taking into consideration the skill set of the group and their various interests, so that we can look at creating a project that will help out in enhancing the leadership skills that will be developed and enhancing the community's quality of life in certain areas that are related to that plan. So it's very helpful for the planning process to be sort of done up front, but it allows us to really sink our teeth into areas that in some aspects that are already well in motion, so that we can continue to enhance those efforts. So we'll be talking more specifically right away in our first session about the focus on the plan, a review of the plan, in a direction we'd like to go with the impact projects. Just to give a little bit of an overview of what else you can expect within the program. The program is 14 interactive sessions, which equals out to approximately 72 hours. 10 of these days will be half-day sessions. We typically will run them in alternating weeks on Wednesdays. It allows those of you to maybe avoid any of the early week or end of week flurry of all the activity at your respective workplaces. So we have placed that there. Typically, those half-day sessions will run from 8 to 12. We have 4 full-day sessions that will be planned. They are typically the first and the last session, and then usually on alternating months in which we will have a full day session, which will last usually 8 to 4 or 8 to 4:30. All the classes, unless they're held out at a specific site and location, will be primarily held at the Corry Higher Education Council at 221 North Center, right here in Corry. Overall, what you can expect here, the classes typically comprised of individuals, aspiring leaders, anywhere, not just devoted to young professionals, but various ages, various industries are represented here, with different companies and businesses and organizations throughout the community and the surrounding areas. Corry, Union City, Spartansburg, and Titusville have all been represented throughout this program that has boasted 110 all-time graduates through 8 successful cohorts since 2002. Overall, those which we seek to impact through our projects and our work here in general, in the workplace and the community, estimated a population of 20,000 that could potentially be impacted by some of the work that we are going to be doing here overall, and some of the skills that will be acquired. Some of the things that we can expect here overall, one added component this year that we will add, that will be added, I should say, will be a very brief evening orientation session, which is not listed here on the brochure. but I'd like you to all mark your calendars for the Monday before our first session. So that would be Monday, September 20th. We were looking somewhere, I have yet to finalize the time, but we're looking between 5 and 7 p.m. For a brief meet and greet here at the Hi-Ed. We'll have refreshments. We get to be able to meet the fellow members of the cohort and also learn a little bit about the early history of the program and some of the previous projects that have been completed. A little bit more about how the Corry Regional Leadership started and has evolved, and then a little bit more specifically about the contents, the instruction that will be received throughout the curriculum, and a more of a breakdown of expectations for the program that you can expect during that time period. So it really helps us get a lot of the housekeeping items out of the way, break the ice a little bit with those that are in the group, and then start with our feet on the ground and running that next Wednesday on the 22nd of September. If you have not already applied to the program and you're interested in applying to the program, all of the information that is required to apply to this program is available once again at corryhied.org/CRL. There you'll be able to find a checklist that will take you through all of the requirements of the application process, which will include filling out an online application. And you will also submit your current resume so that we can get a little bit more information about some of your experiences there overall, and some of your skills that you may have, so that we can kind of round out and see where you may fit in the process individually and as part of a team when it comes to our group and teamwork. There is also an opportunity there for you to engage with your employer. We've added an employer commitment form here overall because we really feel as though, and Barry will hit on this later on, the engagement of the employer in a partnership process, because at the end of the day, we hope that you are going to be able to develop skills that will provide organizational value back to your employer. But this is not only for professional development, but it's also for your personal development too. So we feel as though that added level of engagement and commitment is really going to be very key as you go through the program here as well. Full payment will be required. You may do that in person by cash or check by visiting us here at the Corry Hi-Ed offices, or you may also, through our new online registration program, may pay online. Additionally, if you are going to be sponsored by your employer to take this program, you may also request an invoice from your respective company by contacting me directly. And I'll have my contact information up here later on, although it is on the brochure on the screen here too as well. Feel free to email or call me directly. If you are a self-pay individual, we do have partial scholarship applications. Only those that are self-pay participants are able to qualify, and those can be requested either directly, and I believe that they're also on the website as well. We are looking for a total commitment from those that are here in general. It's very difficult for you to be able to establish a rapport with your cohort, but also to effectively, as we move on, you will see that some of the skills and some of the topics that are discussed build upon one another. So it's very, very important from a continuity standpoint that you are present and engaged. And so in order for us to achieve all those objectives and to be successful and to come away with the tools that we know that you will develop and the skill sets that you'll develop during the time period that you're in the program, we need you to be fully engaged and present. So that is something that we expect, through the application process. We're very transparent up front about that, but we expect additionally, moving forward. Our current registration deadline is Wednesday, September 1st. which is, I believe, a couple of weeks from now, from the time in which this was recorded. If you have any questions leading up to that point, we'll talk about that here later on. I will remind everyone at the end of our presentation here just about these dates and times for registration. Before I turn it over to Barry, are there any questions at this point from anyone that is joining us today about what I just covered?
No questions from me.
All right. Thank you.
None from me either.
Barry, we're going to go ahead and switch over the controls here. So I will stop sharing my screen. I believe you should still have the ability to share your screen. But once again, I'd like to introduce our lead instructor for the management, supervision, leadership development portion of the series, Barry Wolfe, who's the president of Argos HR Solutions LLC, and he will take you through this next segment of the program. So I'll turn it over to you, Barry. Thank you for being here today.
My pleasure, Brody. Thank you for having me, and thanks, folks, for coming. As Brody mentioned, so my business is called Argos HR Solutions. I've been doing on my own for about 3 years, after about 25 years as a vice president, director of HR for privately held companies. I was in the Fortune 500 for a while, worked in global organizations and regional and nationwide, et cetera. And I also am the author of a book that became a bestseller on Amazon called The Little Black Book of Human Resources Management, published by the Expressive Press. They always make sure I plug those guys. But anyway, Brody and I were introduced a few months ago and explored the possibility of my being able to provide, some content for this aspect of the program. And we had a lot of discussion around, the goals of the organization and feedback, I guess, that Brody's had over the years on what folks like and maybe what they'd like to see differently and so forth. And so he and I had a lot of back and forth around that. And what we're going to be putting in front of you is kind of a preview of that. The upcoming program is really kind of the results of this sort of back and forth. So do feel free to ask questions, and we hope you like what you're going to see. But basically, if you were to think about most of leadership programs, if you've been through any or you've heard about them and so forth, most of them kind of go like this. So a lot of people sit around a room, and then afterwards the organization crosses its fingers and hopes that somebody is going to bring something of value back into the business that justifies the time and the expense of investing in somebody absorbing the material. Except that hardly ever happens. So sometimes, but usually not. So as Brody mentioned, we both really wanted to be able to provide something that's going to break out of that sort of thing. So our goal here is to deliver a program that enhances participants' leadership capabilities, delivering meaningful organizational value back into the business. So it's not just about you're going to sit in a room sort of stuff, but really how do we have people use the classroom time and so forth and other tools as catalysts for being able to drive value back in the businesses that they came out of. So typically in situations like this, the learning happens pretty much in the classroom. Now we do have classroom instruction as part of this. However, we want to, as Brody mentioned, we want to have some on-the-job applications for this with the support of the organizational leadership. We want to provide some time for learning through personal reflection on the material, and then also in between sessions, we want to have ongoing participant-to-participant coaching. So basically, participants helping each other, encouraging each other, figuring out ways to clear roadblocks where that's possible. The kind of overarching model for the program is based on something called the 3 C's. Various, this kind of thing exists in different forms around the world. It's kind of my own interpretation of that or application from lessons that I've had in the real world and, as well as just perusing the literature and so forth. So basically, it's centered around helping people develop character, competence, and commitment as in context of leadership. And so the deeper dive goes into these kinds of things. So when we talk about character, we're talking about really integrity and humility, and you can see next to that what kinds of behaviors really support those. Competence being about expertise and delivery, and commitment involving people's passion to drive change and the vision that they have for conceiving that and working to create that. So the program is going to have 8 sessions. Brody had on the materials distributed, had a kind of the topics. We just want to kind of just take a summary look at each one of those. So our first one, we're going to go in our first session. We want to spend a lot of time talking about participant goals, so much that it's on there twice. I'm not sure what happened there, but anyway, participant goals and reviewing the goals of the program overall, and then discussing what the 3 C's are all about. In the second session, we're going to talk about delivering results. So the importance of focusing on organizational value for leaders. We're going to talk about what's the difference between activities, duties, deliverables, and results. We all kind of hear those sorts of things, but we want to talk about how, what really is the difference of each of those, and how leaders in business and organizations be cognizant of those. We want to talk about setting priorities, SMART goals, helping leaders become more productive personally so that they can help their groups become more productive, and then spend a lot of time talking about action planning for the program goals that we're going to be challenging folks to deliver back into their organization. The third part is going to focus on what's been really an emerging topic in management and leadership and supervision over the years. As we know about the proliferation of data and so forth, but it's really been exploding in recent years into a management activity. So we want to give folks some exposure to that, and some exercises around this sort of thing. So we want to talk about measurement, data analytics, and decision making. Talk about really you really can measure anything. People say, well, you can't really measure that. Well, yeah, actually, whatever it is, you pretty much can. There's a tool, I guess, around setting measurement called the 90% confidence interval. So we want to explore that idea. Talk about quantitative metrics, qualitative metrics. What's the difference, and how you can develop those in various aspects of work. And then we're going to do some simple exercises with in statistical analysis, but really pretty simple, using an add-in from Excel called Solver. It's free, and so we're going to get into kind of showing how you can use that tool and data available in your organization to to start creating predictive analytics for the business. So it doesn't hurt. It's actually gonna be kind of fun, this kind of stuff, and I think it's going to be, hopefully this will be exposure to a topic that participants will be interested in exploring as they go forward, because it's a huge part of leadership these days. It's not going away anytime soon, and getting some facility around this, I think, is going to give all of our participants a jump, not just in their careers, but in these programs, but in their careers overall. So the fourth part is going to talk about leading change, where we talk about the plan, do, check, act cycle. Some kind of fun interactive exercises around lean, in terms of how they apply in the lean office. We're going to talk about the concept of influence without authority. So we're going to have a lot of participants that aren't necessarily calling all the shots in their organizations, and they're going to want to know, well, probably going to want to know at some point, well, how am I supposed to drive change when I don't sit in the big chair? Well, we're going to explore that those particular challenges, provide hopefully provide some guidance on how do you actually exercise that sort of influence in an organization, become effective when you don't have the positional authority necessarily. We're going to talk about culture change in the context of, this is something I've developed over the years because I've lived it on a couple different levels, relating a lot of culture change back to experiences with potty training. That sounds a little weird, but if you stick with us there, there's a lot of helpful lessons in that regard. We're going to talk about the concept of aligning goals between leaders and the people in organizations when people don't necessarily want to see their goals as similar to the those of the leader. How does the leader help to work to align those, help people find that alignment, what they want with what the organization needs. Talking about the importance of creating wins and how we do that, and exploring a lot the concept that people buy into a leader before they buy into a vision. So again, with one of the critical things that goes back to that whole idea of the 3 C's. We got to get the character right. We got to get the competence. We got to get the commitment, because if those aren't in place, visibly, the groups that we're leading, whatever the vision is, it isn't going to matter. So our 5th section is going to talk about motivating people. We start with kind of the what's and the how's of performance. We're going to talk about retention studies, what works in motivating people, as a lot of research shows. And hopefully we'll have some discussion around these. People can, share what their takes are on those things. We're going to talk about the more significant, the more popular theories of motivation that have been considered mostly applicable in the workplace, the importance of behavior versus attitude. So how do we leverage those concepts in terms of employee motivation? Our 6th session is going to talk about developing teams and team members. So what's a group or a department versus what's actually a team? Are they the same things? They're actually not. And we're going to talk about when is a team, maybe not the right way to organize a group of people to get some things done. We're going to talk about team building and the concept of the principles of gung ho. It was a book a few years back. Very simple principles, very, very powerful though for working with teams. Then we're going to talk about the concept of situational leadership. How do we lead teams based on where are they ready to learn? And then how leaders should be kind of modifying how they approach leadership based on where the group is at the moment. Then we're going to go through a couple of group-based problem-solving exercises. And then we're going to spend some time on developing team members individually. Our 7th session is going to focus on when it all goes a little south and you got to have those one-on-one with kind of the problem children. What are some effective ways of doing that to deal with employee problems? We have a bunch of different techniques we step through there, a step-by-step process, and we're going to follow that up with some role playing to kind of illustrate the concepts there that we're talking about. Then our last section is going to be what I think is a really underappreciated aspect of leadership these days. There's been a huge explosion in recent decades around employment law at the federal, state, and now the local levels. And as a guy who's had to help leaders get deal with various issues, I think a lot of leaders are reluctant sometimes to respond appropriately because they know that there's a lot of legal considerations and they don't know what they are. So we're going to spend some time talking about some of the more significant issues as they impact supervisors and leaders. And we're going to provide some guidance on where do supervisors and managers tend to inadvertently create legal challenges, and so and then talk about how do we avoid those. And then we're going to have, of course, our graduation ceremony coming out of that. So those are the topics we're going to cover. Each session is going to have a summary handout or two. So you don't have to worry about furiously taking notes. I mean, obviously we hope you do, but we're going to be capturing the main points on each of those as some handouts. So beyond that particular content, beyond our first section, our subsequent ones, we're going to look kind of like this. So we're going to ask volunteers to give kind of an inspirational leadership story, something maybe they've read or something in their own lives that would be, that they'd like to share with the group. And we're going to have some, we're going to ask everybody to do a brief progress report since our last session, as we talk about the programs that, the change initiatives that are working back through in the businesses. How's that working out? How did we apply things? What was clear? What was not? What could we help people maybe if they're struggling with some things? What could we clarify from last time? Help them get be more successful then in the future. And we're going to talk about we'll present the material we just talked about, and then there'll be some time reflecting on the personal applicability of that material in light of the 3 C's model. And then lastly, we'll talk about what we need to get done there, in the workplace to be able to come back for next month. So between our sessions, we're going to ask our participants to make progress on the projects they're in. to, and then we're going to, we want to assign partners for each participant through the entire program, and basically have those folks coach each other. So just check in with each other, talk about how's it going, what's going on in your world, what's working for you, what are you struggling with, and can the coaching partners offer feedback, offer encouragement, and then receive that as well in those sessions. And then we're going to ask our participants to check in with the leader that kind of sponsored them into the program and talk about similar kind of things. How's that going for with them? Because I think a lot of the reasons when we talk about why these sessions are not very successful in engaging or delivering results back in the business, a lot of it's because the leaders back there really aren't engaged in what the learning is going on. So we want to be able to bring those folks into the process so they're aware of it, so they can clear roadblocks where possible, encourage people, and they can see that those changes as well. What we're asking, when I say of you, I guess of the sponsors, for these folks, that identifying high potential employees as participants, challenge this person to take on a project for implementation, whether it's something. So if you're going to be participating, you folks, think about what's something you could go back to that you could take on through this program. Maybe something a money saving, a revenue generating program underneath each of those. Maybe some kind of process improvement, a new initiative that doesn't exist that you believe could have some impact in driving value back in the business, or maybe just evaluating a potential change initiative. And then check in each month, again, looking for guidance, for encouragement, recognizing where we've got successes and identifying where roadblocks exist. What can we do to clear those out of the way? Okay, so that's what we got in mind. Sound like fun? We hope. I think I speak for Brody. As we've been, kind of exploring the content, I think we've been excited about being able to offer this. Personally, I really am. This is some iterations of some things that I've developed over the years and delivered, but this is going to be really unique to this particular program, the particular iteration of this we have, and I think we're both really excited about where we're heading with this, and we really have some confidence that this is going to have an impact beyond kind of the way this is traditionally done. So clearly, we're building on successes learned. I don't want to, certainly don't want to, throw shade on, the previous 8 cohorts, but just as it all evolves, you get feedback on what people want to see and so forth, and so hopefully we're really building on what came before, right? So that's what I got. So if you have any questions on anything, or no? Sound like fun?
Not, it all looks good. Yeah, there's a lot going on there. It should be looks like it's going to be a good course. So yeah,
if you're looking for something where you just want to sit there and kill some time and get some coffee, you're coming to the wrong show. So put it that way.
Good.
So. But we really hope, to the extent both of you would be participants, for example, I mean, this is going to be something that really can help you have an impact back in the organization, really help you become more effective, and have a lasting impact career-wise, and back into the organization. So
sounds good. Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Great.
Thanks, Barry. And just real quick, while we're beginning to wrap up, I just wanted to provide the final information there. What we talked about at the top of our presentation here today, as we're currently looking to form our 9th cohort of Corry Regional Leadership. Of course, there's the dates all on Wednesdays beginning in September, and that's a typo there. I should have changed that, but September 22nd through April 1st. And we're looking at additionally, our registration deadline is quickly approaching. So if you are interested, or you have additional questions beyond today's presentation, please do not hesitate to give me a call. If they're more related to some of the items that Barry presented on, please do not all hesitate to reach out to me, and I will forward them along to him to make sure that we get you the best answer as possible. So just a reminder of that, and also additionally, my contact information here is on the screen. So feel free to reach out to me either by phone or by email. All the program information can be found on corryhied.org/CRL, standing for the acronym there, Corry Regional Leadership. We are so excited as far as what is can be potentially offered here for the upcoming year. And we are very much looking forward to continuing to serve Corry in this capacity. There are many things that are right on the launch pad and ready to take off here in the community, with several initiatives, many groups coming together in order to better our community and our future. And we look forward to contributing to that and meeting that great demand in order to keep us a viable and thriving community where we live, work, and play. Lastly, any questions, final questions here before we wrap up today? Right. Well, I thank you so much for joining us here this afternoon. This video is being recorded, so we will place that out for future consumption of those that were not able to join us today. So we thank you for joining us, and those that will be joining us in the future. And we look forward to having you in CRL 9 coming up here in a few weeks, starting in the fall. Thanks so much for your time.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.